NASA successfully averted a problem. Its engineers had sent a wrong signal to Voyager 2 and had lost contact for nearly about 10 days.
When will New Horizons overtake the two Voyager spacecraft as the furthest man-made object from Earth?
Voyager 1, which is the farthest space...
It started with a mistake. Then things got strange. A simple error almost ended the mission. NASA engineers had sent the wrong command to Voyager 2, misaligning its antenna by just 2 degrees. The result? Total silence. For nearly 10 days, one of humanity's farthest traveling probes vanished, no signal, no data, no trace. And with the probe almost 20 billion kilometers from Earth, experts feared the worst. The odds of restoring contact were slim. But the story didn't end in silence. It began there. The turn that shouldn't have happened. It started with a strange signal at the edge of our solar system. Then, something Voyager 2 wasn't programmed to do, it turned. A gentle pivot, just enough to raise alarms. Was it a malfunction? A mechanical hiccup? Or did it encounter something we've only theorized, something we've always feared? What Voyager 2 sent back didn't just confuse NASA, it unsettled them. Because the signal didn't look random. It looked intentional. It may have confirmed a chilling suspicion: we've never been alone. The little probe that wouldn't quit. To understand why Voyager's movement mattered, you have to understand what it is. A car-sized machine launched in 1977, when phones had cords and computers filled rooms. It carried no AI, no real onboard brain. Just 256 kilobytes of memory and a nuclear battery powering a tiny transmitter weaker than a refrigerator light bulb. And yet, Voyager 2 is still calling home, nearly 5 decades later. The mission that changed everything. Voyager 2 was never supposed to return. It was built for one thing: to go. Launched on August 20, 1977, it rode a Titan Centaur rocket straight into the deep. Its mission: visit Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, using a rare planetary alignment that happens once every 176 years. No spacecraft had ever attempted a journey like it. And against all odds, Voyager 2 nailed it. At Jupiter, it discovered a faint ring system and an entirely new moon. At Saturn, it unveiled rippling rings twisted by hidden forces. At Uranus, tilted on its side like a broken gyroscope, it found 10 new moons and bizarre magnetic chaos. Then came Neptune, deep blue, stormy, and colder than imagination. Voyager 2 saw it all. Volcanoes of ice. Geysers on Triton. Moons, storms, rings. It transformed the textbooks. The golden record, humanity's signature in space. Bolted to its side was a strange artifact, a golden record. It wasn't a navigation device. It wasn't a log. It was a message. A cosmic invitation. Etched into gold were greetings in 55 languages, music from Earth, the sound of a baby crying, the heartbeat of a woman in love. We called it the message in a bottle. But maybe we were naive. Because this bottle wasn't floating in an ocean, it was speeding through the darkness, flashing our coordinates to the unknown. Beyond the planets, into the void. Voyager didn't stop at Neptune. It kept going, piercing the edge of the solar system, where sunlight fades and the rules start to change. Past the heliosphere, the sun's final breath, Voyager 2 entered interstellar space. There was no map. Just darkness. And radiation. And silence. Or so we thought. The signal that changed everything. In May 2025, more than 20.8 billion kilometers from home, Voyager 2 sent back a signal. Not static. Not noise. Something real. Something patterned. The signal made scientists freeze at their desks. Instruments that had been quiet for decades suddenly lit up, reporting pulses, spikes, and strange magnetic bursts. The data wasn't random. It was structured. Timed. As if something out there was knocking back. Then came the twist. The dodge. Voyager turned. Deliberately. Slowly. Like it flinched. That kind of movement isn't random. The thrusters weren't fired. No new commands were issued. And yet, it shifted, as if trying to avoid something. Like it saw something it didn't want to see. Scientists were stunned. Because probes don't dodge. Not unless something makes them. What did it encounter? The readings were off the charts. Cosmic ray detectors flared. Magnetic fields twisted. One pulse kept repeating, every 61.2 seconds. And buried in the data, a sequence resembling the digits of pi. Not noise. Not space dust. A pattern. A message. And it didn't come from Earth. The space around Voyager was too clean. No dust. No radiation. No interference. Just a perfect void, an unnatural silence. Like a trap. Or a doorway. Or a warning. Have we been seen? That's the question burning behind closed doors. Because the fear now isn't just that Voyager found something. The fear is that something found us. NASA remains quiet. Testing. Retesting. But engineers have admitted privately, this doesn't look like interference. It looks like a response. As if our little golden record, our cosmic mixtape, was noticed. A silent reaction. Some believe we're being watched. Others fear we're being contained. Like a species under observation, kept inside the walls of our solar system for a reason. And Voyager 2? It may have nudged the gate. And something on the other side was listening. The final countdown. Voyager 2 is fading fast. Its power is down to just 470 watts, barely enough to keep its heart beating. NASA is shutting down instruments to conserve energy, hoping to stretch its life to 2030. But every signal now feels like a countdown. A whisper in the dark before the final silence. And maybe that silence won't come from us. Final hook. What if that last blackout wasn't a glitch, but a test? What if the next one is a reply? What lies beyond the sun's reach? One moment, Voyager 2 was coasting under the quiet protection of the sun's influence. The next, it was alone in the dark. On November 5, 2018, nearly 18 billion kilometers from Earth, the spacecraft crossed the helipause, the invisible boundary where the solar wind dies and the sun's influence fizzles into nothing. We once imagined it as a smooth, gentle transition, like drifting past a tide. But Voyager 2 shattered that illusion. What it found out there wasn't peace, it was turbulence. The helipause, often described as a kind of cosmic bubble wrap shielding our solar system, was supposed to be our border, protecting us from the chaos of interstellar space. Powered by solar wind, this bubble deflects high-energy cosmic rays from the galaxy. But Voyager's crossing proved it wasn't a clean edge. It was a war zone of plasma, denser than expected, thick with turbulence, and laced with strange magnetic fields. Its magnetometer picked up twisted, tangled magnetic lines, as though the galaxy itself was caught in a cosmic tug-of-war. This wasn't empty space, it was alive. It pulsed with unpredictable forces, strange readings, and a kind of silence that felt too deliberate. That silence was the strangest part. No solar wind, no familiar signals, just raw, unpredictable chaos. Some scientists said it felt like the edge of the solar system was breathing on its own. Voyager hadn't entered calm, it had plunged into an invisible storm. And the further it drifted, the more unnerving the data became. By early 2025, something shifted. The cosmic ray spikes started repeating in patterns. Signals weren't random anymore. Something, some force, was pushing back. And it didn't seem like natural turbulence. It felt like resistance. Not from the galaxy, but from the edge itself. Like the boundary wasn't just a cosmic door, it was a warning. A line that shouldn't be crossed. But Voyager 2 didn't heed that warning. It kept going. And then, something even more unsettling happened. It turned back. This movement wasn't expected. It wasn't programmed. For a spacecraft limping through deep space with ancient thrusters and a dying power source, a deliberate turn was nearly impossible. But Voyager 2 did just that. It adjusted its orientation, not randomly, but purposefully, as if reacting to something. Something it had seen. Or sensed. Back in March 2020, Voyager 2 had gone completely silent. NASA initially blamed routine maintenance, specifically upgrades to the Goldstone antenna, the massive 70-meter dish in California used to communicate with the spacecraft. But when the repairs ended and silence persisted, doubts crept in. Days became weeks. Weeks stretched into months. And inside NASA's Deep Space Network, whispers began, maybe Voyager 2 had finally died. After all, it was nearly 43 years old, powered by a radioactive battery barely stronger than a nightlight. Then, on October 29, 2020, something answered. NASA fired off a long-shot command into the dark, and Voyager 2 replied. Loud. Clear. Alive. The antenna had realigned. The command had executed. Against every odd, the little probe that shouldn't still be functioning was not only operational, it was active. But what it sent back next wasn't routine data. Instruments long thought dead, systems dormant since the 1980s, suddenly lit up. And they weren't reporting simple telemetry. The signals were layered, patterned, looping like echoes. Some in binary. Some rhythmic. It didn't look like radiation. It didn't act like background noise. It felt like Voyager had heard something, and was repeating it. NASA called it interference. A glitch. But behind closed doors, seasoned engineers were double-checking their math, and some just sat in stunned silence. This didn't feel like a reboot. It felt like a wake-up call. And then, it happened again. A measured, deliberate movement. A tilt. Not a spin, not a malfunction. A calculated shift, as if something had startled it. Voyager 2 had flinched. Deep inside NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, early 2025, a small alert blinked on the telemetry feed. Voyager 2 had moved. Its thrusters hadn't been fired. No course correction was scheduled. The spacecraft, more than 20.8 billion kilometers away, had just tilted, as if turning away from something. And when engineers examined the data surrounding that moment, things got even stranger. The magnetometer, the same one installed during the Carter administration, recorded a sudden, jagged spike. Not a slow curve, but a jolt. At the same time, the cosmic ray detector flared. This wasn't a slow radiation buildup like a solar flare. It was a sharp burst. A hit. But from what? No software glitch. No known star flares. No rogue comets. This was something else. Something external. Some theorized Voyager 2 had brushed against an unseen electromagnetic field. Others whispered about a gravitational anomaly. But the clean, precise nature of the data defied those explanations. It was too clean. Too sharp. Like Voyager had tripped a sensor in the dark. Or crossed a line it was never meant to cross. That's when someone used a different word, dodge. Voyager 2 hadn't just moved, it had dodged. And that changed everything. Machines don't dodge unless something makes them. Which begs the question. What did Voyager 2 encounter out there? Whatever it wasn't part of any known model of the galaxy. Not dust. Not solar wind. Not stellar radiation. The data showed something rhythmic, a strange pulsing signal repeating every 61.2 seconds. Not random. Not chaotic. A steady knock in the dark. The magnetometer lit up with sharp spikes. The ray detectors surged again. Not like before. This time, there was structure. Precision. Almost as if something was knocking back. So, what if Voyager 2 didn't just find the end of the solar system? What if it found something waiting at the edge? What if the boundary wasn't just physics, it was a message? And the real question, did we just knock on a door, or did we kick it open? Thresholds never meant to be crossed. There was no warning. No burst from a solar flare. No rogue asteroid cruising by. No nearby pulsar humming in the background. just a strange, rhythmic pulse. Timed. Clean. Precise. It was as if Voyager 2 had stepped onto a pressure plate in space, one that wasn't supposed to exist. Around it, the cosmos felt too quiet. Too sterile. No dust. No debris. Not even a whisper of background radiation. An unnatural silence. Imagine driving through a storm and suddenly hitting a stretch of road so smooth and still, it feels staged. That's what Voyager 2 encountered, a dead zone in the galaxy so perfect, it felt intentional. Then came the turn. A subtle, deliberate movement, perfectly aligned with the strange pulses it had been detecting. Like something on the other side of that barrier didn't want to be observed. And this is where the story darkens. What if that invisible wall wasn't just a cosmic border? What if it was a threshold, something ancient, something constructed? A gate, not meant to be opened, until now. And what if, by crossing it, Voyager 2 didn't just go somewhere new, but let something in? This wasn't just a blip in space. It may have been a knock on the wrong door. The fear we can't shake. It's no longer just static echoing through deep space. It's something intentional. Something staring back. And NASA's silence? It's not the comforting kind. It's the kind that makes you question what's not being said. Behind closed doors, scientists aren't just puzzled, they are rattled. Because Voyager 2's instruments are detecting pulses that shouldn't exist. Timed. Repeating. Mathematically ordered. Some even echo the digits of pi, 3.14159, a sequence repeating like a ticking clock. A signal that isn't just strange, it's intelligent. Then came the high-energy particle spikes. Not scattered like cosmic dust, but focused, targeted, almost like they were aimed. That's not chance. That's a message. A bullseye. Suddenly, our solar system doesn't feel like the vast, open sea of possibilities. It feels like a fenced-in yard. And Voyager 2? It may have brushed the gate. What if this isn't the first time something, or someone, tried to step out of that yard? What if that boundary isn't there to keep things out, but to keep us in? The more we look, the more this feels like surveillance. Like Earth is a snow globe, and we've finally tapped the glass. And what about NASA? They are not exactly throwing a press conference. They are watching, waiting, and testing everything twice. But the longer the silence continues, the louder the message becomes, something out there noticed us. And now, we may be part of the experiment. The golden record gamble. We didn't just send a spacecraft. We sent a message. A shiny gold disk bolted to Voyager 2's side, the golden record. An artifact of Earth's greatest hopes, music, greetings in 55 languages, brainwaves of someone falling in love, whale songs, diagrams of our bodies, and even a star map leading directly to us. A cosmic mixtape tossed into the void like a message in a bottle. But now? That bottle may have been a flare. What if we weren't just shouting into the dark, but singing, loudly enough to pierce the silence? Voyager's golden disk was meant to be a gift, a declaration of our existence. But what if that very declaration is what got us noticed? Imagine a lone probe drifting through pitch-black space, its record glinting faintly under starlight. Maybe something out there didn't hear our message, until now. Maybe we didn't whisper into space. Maybe we lit a match in a room we didn't understand. The signal that shouldn't exist. When Voyager 2 went silent in July 2023, the world paused. No signal. No heartbeat. Just gone. At first, it seemed simple, a misfire from Earth caused its antenna to shift by just 2 degrees. A tiny error. But in deep space, that meant total blackout. NASA acted fast, broadcasting what they called an interstellar shout using a massive 70-meter dish in Australia. It was a scream into the void, hoping for an echo. Weeks passed. Nothing. Then, on August 4th, the impossible happened, Voyager 2 answered. Fully intact. Still on course. Still alive. But here's the twist, that blackout. It doesn't feel accidental anymore.